Hi everyone, this is James from TDB here bringing you another Inbetweenisode. Today we will be drinking some tea, but this is part of kind of a loose series of episodes that I'm going to be occasionally releasing about teas that I've actually bought, more than just a cake, because oftentimes for me at least a cake is kind of just a way to try the tea. I don't want to say cake is a sample, but in a way that's definitely true. So this tea is the Menghai Yesheng from 2005, made by Chenguanghetang, who is run by Chenguanghetang, who actually didn't make this tea. This is technically a rewrap of the tea. In many ways, it's a little bit of an unusual production from him. I think he would become far more well-known for making kind of a pair of different Iwu teas every year. So he's a fairly famous poor guy. He has written a bunch of books. I have not read the books. I don't read Chinese, but he's fairly well known. And so this tea is one that made its ways to the shores of the U.S. via Hoda back in probably the mid to late 2000s. So it was a little bit before my time. So I did not get on those first wave of cakes or anything like that. But it's one that, as a result of that, has circulated a fair amount. So I was originally introduced to this cake from Hster over at the Tea Closet blog, who sent me a sample of this, which I featured on a Tea of the Month report maybe about 10 years ago or so. And I really like the tea, and it's one that's always kind of caught my attention. And so, you know, if you're a psycho like me and you're just browsing around Taobao and you end up with accumulating a couple things. So I ended up with a few cakes like this. And then just last year, I was scrolling around and I recognized the wrapper immediately. It's very recognizable. It has this very distinct paper. It's kind of like construction paper is what LP called it. And I found this cake on LP's site, and so I immediately bought a few, as I've always liked the cake. And it also had Malaysian dry storage, which immediately caught my eye. And so, yeah, I'm very happy to have this around. For the most part, the other cakes that I bought, it's a strong tea. It's definitely kind of a Western Shishuang bonded tea, in the sense. So a lot of them have not been ready. I haven't had easy access to them until fairly recently. So in many ways, LP and his site are kind of a bad fit for the show because he is someone that cycles through tea pretty quickly. He's almost, while he features a lot of the same sort of vendors, boutiques and whatnot that you're going to see from Teas We Like. He sources from Taiwan and Malaysia, just like them too. He operates in a very different way. The Teas We Like people curate stuff, they buy stuff, it sits around and you can access it later, or maybe it'll sell out and they'll do their best to restock it. LP, on the other hand, goes through a lot of different teas and a lot of stock. So if you're someone that likes to try a lot of different teas, likes to sample teas, another big advantage for LP, you can definitely get it through him. So this tea caught my eye, and I knew the tea well enough that I just went ahead and bought the cakes. So yeah, and I think I'm pretty happy to have them around because it actually means I can drink this tea. So still waiting for those teas I bought probably 8 or 9 years ago to slowly age. Things do not age super fast here in Seattle, so maybe in 10 or another 15, 20 years, they will be ready to go. In the meantime, I have a couple cakes here from him. Let's see, what else is there about this tea? Marshall has talked a lot about this tea too, so if you're curious about it, you can Google it, and you can find him talking about it. It is, again, the 2005 Chenguanghetang Menghai Yesheng, which is, I believe, a blend of a couple different materials from kind of the Menghai area. I think I've seen it associated with Banjong, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Check out LP, check out Marshall, and we're going to get on to this tea right now. All right, so here we are. I just drank steep number 1 here. I really like this tea, but let's see. So, interestingly, I also reread my initial notes on this about 10 years ago, and I think the version I tried, and there was one that had seen some danker, more, perhaps traditional storage. You can read up on that story on Hster and Marshall's blog. I think I tried that one, actually, because my notes of it line up far more with that, talking about it being basy and herbal. I also mentioned in the notes that it was currently available on Taobao for 798 RMB. Retrospect, probably should have bought a Tong back then. That would have been a fair bit cheaper. Nonetheless, I'm still happy to have it now, and the storage is probably better too. So I also noted that it lasts 20 steeps. Just about nothing lasts 20 steeps for me anymore. I think part of it is like you get used to the tea and you kind of know when to lean in a bit more. So most likely I was under steeping, probably steeps 5 to 20, I would guess. Or maybe I was just trying to extract every last bit of it. Nonetheless, I was happy to try it back then, and it just kind of shows you how stuff can come so full circle. Teas that you're going to note that may not be available to you at the time will pop back up, but someone like LP or whatnot. And so I think that's one of the strengths of LP in his stores. You can try a lot of stuff, you can get those reference points, and then when they do pop up, you can get them. His markup is very reasonable, in my opinion, as well. So cheers. Right now, sorry, went down the wrong pipe there. Has definitely like kind of this woody incense vibe to it. I feel like it hints at this past smokiness, so perhaps this retired smoke is a little bit different in character than something like a Shagwan or a Menghai factory tea as far as the smoky character, but it is nice. One thing that has always struck me as being true of this tea is that it's just a tea of substance. Even back then, I was tasting a very differently stored version. You could tell that this tea is just packed with some nice stuff in it. So you could just tell there's a lot of good material in there, and it's good, robust, and strong material. I think that certainly carries over to this tasting here. I would say this Malaysia storage is definitely on the dry side of things. The tea maintains a good amount of liveliness, but we are brewing this nice red liqueur. Nice aroma coming off this too. And yeah, the leaves are kind of light brown, I'd say, is kind of what we're looking at this point. So I'll do one more steep. Let this one hang out for just a second longer. Normally I wouldn't stack steeps quite this quickly, but recording an episode, so. And we'll go there. So yeah, if you are an old tea head and have tried this tea, I'd be curious to hear how you liked it. It's one that is kind of unique because it's not one that Chenguanghetang has produced again. I think they had a couple productions kind of in 2005 area that are kind of special ones. I do drink, I think, one other Chenguanghetang tea, the 2006 Iwu Yecha, which is far more of a daily drinker. That's an autumn Iwu. It's nice and mellow, has a nice sweetness to it. Probably a little bit more typical of the sort of stuff that Chenguanghetang would be producing. Cheers. Nice body to this too. It just kind of got this big, I don't know if fluffy is the right word, but expansive. That's what I'm looking for. Like this expansive feel, some woody, some incense. Yeah, I think this is a very solid tea. I think there's room in this to continue to age. I also think it's interesting to try something like this. It's a little bit more challenging for me to place than kind of your very classic Boulong stereotype of like big body and then kind of a nice aftertaste. Not that this is too difficult. It is kind of, I'd say, more of a cousin for that profile than like having that exact same profile. Okay, now let's try this fourth infusion. This is definitely a tea that I will be drinking throughout the day and enjoying. Interestingly, the context does matter quite a bit when you have this tea. As I served this tea for my friend after some BYH and some Iwu, and it just tasted far too strong. So, pick the context where it makes sense. Obviously, I don't nail it every 100% of the time, the fact that I'm telling you this story. But the teas can overperform or underperform depending on how you choose to drink them. Cheers. Yeah, nice texture. Just very, very tasty. Okay, so that just about wraps up this In-Betweenisode. Let me know how you liked it. Yeah, check out some Chenguanghetang tea. I know LP has sold a number of them. Their Iwu Chawangs are pretty tasty. I believe those are Guafang Jai teas. So definitely check those out if you can. Even the autumn ones I've tried have been pretty good. So thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all next time. Cheers.